Welcome to DeadWax.
Welcome to DeadWax. We have with us a special guest co-host today, Kane Ritchotte.
Hello.
A round of applause for Kane, everybody.
Yay, Kane. Thank you
Thanks,
for being
everybody.
here.
Thanks for having me.
Our guests today are Devin Kerr and Rob Stenson. We're going to be talking about songs that inspired the Goodhertz plugins. Goodhertz is an amazing audio software company. I use the plugins all the time. They're so sick. I absolutely love them. It's so fun to have you guys here. Devin Kerr is the principal engineer, and Rob's co-founder and art director. And how do you guys actually think about dividing up your time and kind of who does what at Goodhertz?
I'd say you're the interface look
Yeah, on the
person.
spectrum of audio to visual, I'm closer to the visual.
They cross over more than you think, though. But
yeah.
I'm mainly a DSP guy at heart. Rob
Cool.
is a...
I'm higher, higher level on audio. I don't really understand most of what he does.
Awesome.
Or what anyone else does at the company, actually.
Like a good marriage. How
Yeah.
big is the company?
Depends on how you count it, like contractors, but like 7-ish.
Cool. And for the real heads out there, Rob, you grew up on the same street as Jack
Shelburne
Stratton.
Road, yeah. Different cities, adjacent
right.
cities, only a mile apart.
Nice. And so you and Jack have known each other since you were how old?
I think we've known each other since first grade, and we
Wow.
became friends in fourth grade. I think. Maybe we were friends earlier. I can't quite
Grades
remember.
1
But the
through
Beatles
3.
cover band was fourth grade.
You guys were in a Beatles cover band together?
Oh, yeah.
What did you play?
There's a recording of us playing. Gosh, what is that song? It's really sad. It's a Lennon song, and I'm singing
Imagine.
Julia.
it. No, it's
There's
it's
a
like
lot.
from Rubber Soul, I think.
You're singing?
Yeah.
Wow,
Jack's
we
playing
gotta
the
find.
drums.
Is this findable? Is it?
I bet Jack's parents have it. Yeah.
Oh my God, we got to get our crack research team to hunt down this video and put it in right here.
Yep.
Wow, that's awesome.
I hope not, but-
Jack Stratton, for those of you who don't know, founder, ringleader of Vulf. Okay, so basically, the rundown of this episode is going to be looking at the songs that inspired different Goodhertz plugins. And so we have Devin rigged up with his computer and this shoddy screen, and you guys are going to give us a tour through some of these plugins and the songs that inspired them. So we're going to start with Lossy, is that right?
I think. Do you want to start with Vulf? Since
We're already talking
that's
about Jack there.
Yeah,
Great.
that's a
Let's
foundational
Let's start
plugin
with
to
Vulf
Goodhertz.
Comp.
Yeah, I mean, I think the story goes that you visited San Francisco in 2012? 13?
12, yeah. Maybe like that.
And that's when we first met. You know Jack through the Michigan connection.
Yes.
I know Jack from the
And
Beatles cover band.
Multiple people said we should meet on that
Yeah.
trip. And we did.
Yeah, pretty complementary skill sets, as we've already discussed, really.
Mm-hmm.
I knew how to program interfaces. I was working in, just Silicon Valley standard tech, working at Twitter at the time. And then I was like, I don't want to make the Twitter interface anymore. I want to do something different. And audio plugins, audio software in general, seemed like a pretty different thing. So I was kind of looking for something in that world.
Right. And I was a full-time mastering engineer at the time, running a studio out of my house, but also working on DSP as part of a master's, and then kind of started licensing some of it and then making plugins, and was really loving that stuff, loving making my own DSP. So I think I remember saying to you, if you give me a place to put the DSP, code-wise, we could really do something here.
And so this was the first plugin. Vulf Comp was the first plugin?
I had made some of the plugins that eventually became Goodhertz plugins were my master's thesis. So Panput, Can Opener, some of the more spatial audio ones.
Got it.
But Vulf compressor was the first one we really started working on together.
And was it collaboration with Vulf?
Yes. It started by, on that San Francisco trip, talking to Jack about the plugins I had made and him showing me an SP303. And then later, maybe a month later, I get home and one shows up on my doorstep. And I'm like, oh, I know what this means. He wants me to make this, to model this.
That's the most Jack way.
Yes. Yeah. I don't think we talked, if we did, it was one
What
sentence.
is a SP303?
You might be the best at explaining
Was it called the Boss Doctor Sample SP303? And it's not just the SP303, which is a sampler popular with a ton of hip hop producers. It's the vinyl sim mode.
Yeah.
Has this bizarre, I think is the right word, compression algorithm.
That's really understating it, actually.
That is hard or impossible to recreate.
It was a good thing to
Was
model
impossible, yeah.
first, because it was like the hardest thing I could have picked to work on. Doesn't follow any of the rules of like a normal compressor at all. So, I just started with like each individual aspect of its sound and started getting closer and closer. And we deviated from it for Vulf compressor in several ways, but that's definitely the basis of the sound.
What made it so difficult to model? And was it a is it some type of analog processing or is it digital processing?
It's digital.
So it's an algorithm.
Yeah, it's definitely an algorithm, and I'm sure the algorithm is super simple. Like if we could crack the box open.
Yeah.
But I don't usually like to model that way. I like the more black box approach, just because what we're trying to ultimately achieve is the sound anyways. And like in that device, the DAC ADC being these crappy Delta Sigma, that has a huge impact on the sound too. So we kind of modeled the whole thing, yeah. And the noise, and that it doesn't simulate vinyl at all. It sounds nothing like vinyl. It's really a crazy compressor with noise.
And there is like clicks and pops on the vinyl sim mode on the machine, but we didn't
Interesting.
actually
We didn't
model
model
that.
And when you go ahead, Kane.
How do you go about the emulation process in like a rudimentary way?
It depends on what you're trying to model. But
in this case, maybe.
yeah. Well, since it's mainly a compressor, we're sending a lot of signals into it that change in volume. So send in a very loud thing and see what the compressor does, see what the attack release curves are. And that one is particularly weird because the attack release all change based on what you send into it. So some compressors don't do that. They're just,
Whoa.
No matter what you send, it's pretty much the same. Same with like sometimes ratios in compressors are always the same. Vulf compressor or SP303 is not that at all. It's kind of a very mu.
Whoa.
And things like even the threshold in an SP303 is super weird also. So all of it was like, I remember modeling it and thinking like, I don't think this is right. The threshold can't be minus 70 in this, or but it is. So it's basically always compressing, which is why it sounds so cool.
Whoa.
Had you modeled something before?
Not really. I mean, yes, no, but not a dynamics processor.
Wild. And
So I was going at it in MATLAB.
had Jack used the SP303 on stuff, or why was
Yeah.
that even? He
Well,
was
yeah, maybe
just,
this is the time to play this track.
Yeah, shall we?
okay. So this track is where the idea came from.
Yeah, to some extent, I remember in high school, Jack was obsessed with things being loud because we didn't know anything, and there was like, there was no YouTube. It was harder to figure out how to do stuff.
Yeah.
And we would just ride around. I always remember Jack in the car was just like, why is this so loud? Like Outcast to him, I think.
Right.
He was just always like, how did they get it to be this loud? And then this is an album by Madlib under the guise of a project called Sound Directions,
Okay.
which is not one of his more well-known aliases, but it's an album where I believe, very little information on this, he plays all the instruments live with some session musicians. Some session musicians don't exist. He made up their names, and that's who's playing on the track.
Did you say sound directions, by the way, or
Sound Directions.
sound
Directions.
directions? Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
What did it sound like?
No, I'm just Just want to be
record.
clear for
Yeah.
the
This is
for
the
the
double
kids.
D.
I still don't get it.
That's all right.
Like the
Sorry,
direction of
it's
sound.
Like the direction, like somebody's directing sound.
Yeah.
Like you would
Yeah.
direct a play.
We'll talk about it later.
Okay.
We'll talk about it later.
I think it's meant to have kind of like a mid-century, like new directions in sound kind of thing. Like that kind of tagline is maybe
Okay.
what he had in mind.
Okay.
I don't really know, but it's like a mid-century funk recording, but then processed, I believe, with an SP303, which was his rig,
Cool.
with vinyl sim on an SP303.
Cool.
So this is what Jack and I were hearing in high school.
And how'd you guys know that's what they were using?
We didn't. It was so much later Jack figured this out.
Okay.
While he was living in Berkeley.
He's like digging around in forums, like how does Madlib get this sound?
Cool.
What is the Dilla? Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Cool.
Yeah. And then that's why he sent one to Devin. That's the whole
Got
story.
it.
We
Got
also
it.
tried, we tried to replicate it with whatever 400 compressor plugins that I had,
Uh-huh.
and nothing was anything like it.
Yeah.
So it was like, oh, this is a unobtainable sound.
Yeah.
Unless you
have this device.
obtain an SP303 and run everything through it, which is what Jack was doing for a while. That's what Madlib, I think, for a very long time did.
So when you say run everything through it, like each individual track is processed through the SP303, or it's on the master?
I think
I
it's
think maybe all
tubas.
of the above.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
right,
everything.
right.
Okay,
Are
it's
you-
just everywhere.
Are you able to run audio through that machine without sampling, without recording, or is he just recording really long samples?
Yeah, you can.
Without recording.
You can.
Yeah.
You can just use it like a pedal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's cool.
with like unbalanced RCA inputs, and
Rad.
just a little latency. It's not ideal.
And so you were saying Madlib was making this record, hiring session guys, some real, some non-existent.
Maybe. It's hard to tell.
And then recording stuff, sending it through the SPD.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm 100% positive
Sure.
on that, but that's what that sound is, this kind of like inflated, almost like it's hard to catch your breath kind of sound that this album in particular has, and a lot of his productions have.
Let's hear this shit.
Yeah,
do
let's
it,
hear it.
baby.
Let's hear it. Whoa.
Everything is at the
It
surface.
sounds like ducking.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
very
I love
cool.
that tambourine. That's sick.
Yeah, and I think the ducking is like a red herring. It's what it sounds like, but it's actually pushing the drums so far into
Right.
the two bus that just happens naturally.
And what's interesting is the transients still are preserved and sound lovely,
Yeah.
but it's a lot. It sounds like a lot of compression.
A
It's
lot
like
of compression.
A lot of compression,
Oh, yeah.
but snappy transients. That's
Yes.
kind of the weird thing that you're not, or that I'm not used to hearing.
Yeah.
Wow, cool.
You've identified it. Yeah.
That's it.
Wow, that's sick sounding.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Jack had been on a hunt for that kind of sound, figured it out. Devin figured out how to recreate it.
Did
I
it
love-
take a lot of iterations?
Yes. Yeah.
How long were you working on it?
I don't know. Maybe a year or something.
Wow.
Yeah.
And can you tell us about, like, is there a way to explain the algorithm in terms of ratio, attack, and release? Like, what is actually, and threshold? Like, what's actually happening?
Yeah. So it's the threshold is it's basically always compressing. So the threshold is like 0.
Okay.
Essentially, it's a very mu ratio, and the attack and release are completely dependent on how hot you hit it.
Okay.
So that's where the like transient preservation comes from. The hotter you hit it, the faster the attack happens, but it still always lets through the beginning of it.
Yeah. Cool.
That's yeah.
So that's how you get that snap on the snare and stuff like that. But you get really squashed.
Really squashed.
Everything else.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, it's almost kind of like like extreme 2A kind of
Yeah.
vibe.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah.
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 Is this the most popular Goodhertz plugin?
It was for a long
certainly
time.
was. Yeah. We've been lucky to have different plugins kind of have their each have their moment.
In the sun?
Yeah, maybe Tube is a little more popular now.
Nice. That's
Yeah.
If there's
awesome.
one thing you should know about us, it's that we don't run a lot of analytics.
Yeah,
on
we
our
wouldn't know.
business.
That's good. That's healthy.
That's great. You guys are like artists.
yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
sure. Yeah.
So is the plan here? Are you gonna put Vulf compressor on this track and show
Yeah,
us what it does?
I think it's cool to hear like us double do it, and you'll hear
Yes.
the
As like an operating mode for us, that's like you take it to the point of parity
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you pair it back.
And that's how
Nice.
we make, like, you'll notice a lot of our plugins have these historical presets.
Uh-huh.
And that's like, we take the plugin and try to do what was happening and maybe overdo it. Yeah, and that's how we usually make them. So here's the same thing, and I'll turn this on, I guess.
Oh.
Very cool.
Wow. So there's also there's also an EQ thing going, right? Some of the super highs above like 8K seem to be rolled off or something, and there's kind of more mid-range. What's going on there?
Yeah, so the 303 has like, I think it's 2 different sampling modes. It's like one is like extended play. And so we modeled both of those and put them in this lo-fi slider. And so instead of just being 2 modes, it's like 0 is 0, or if you just ran it through a 303, 50% is like the normal sampling mode, and then 100 is like the long play. But you can go in between it, anywhere in between.
Okay, so that's where the EQ
That's where the
adjustment's coming
EQ
from.
aspect comes
Cool.
through. Yeah, and I guess, and just even at 0, there's a natural EQ curve to the plugin that you can't turn off, which has inspired us to make a mastering version of it now, because for me personally, it's hard to use in that type of context.
Yeah. So does that mean that like so you guys aren't like doing a true bypass thing? If everything's at 0%, it's not true bypass.
For this lo-fi slider, yes. If we always have
That's
these
awesome.
horizontal sliders at the bottom. If you go to 0 here, then it'll be truly flat. So,
Okay.
I hear of people using it at like 1.5% or something to get around that. But we've fixed it now. We have a mastering.
How do you
version.
get with that slider in particular? How do you avoid, or do you? I mean, there might not be a way to do this, but how do you avoid phase issues?
It's not a parallel mix, even though we
Right.
imply that it is, which is a little bit confusing. But it is really a scaling down of everything, and that's how
cool.
we avoid it. Because I think people think, you hear a lot of people doing parallel malts, and they're more problematic than you think.
Yeah.
Even a parallel malt with an EQ, if that EQ is like a 2-stage EQ, you have a notch in it or something.
Right.
Can you explain your answer to like a first year, like you would to a first year like engineering student in school? Like what is parallel? What is a parallel mult? And
Sure.
what is a parallel mix?
Yeah, so parallel mix is like the most common thing. It's often done with compressors, where you get a compressor version of something. Let's say you compress a vocal and then you have a dry. You keep them separate and then mix them together in different amounts. With something like a compressor, that's usually chill, no problems there. But these days people do a lot of fancy paralleling, where you might have EQs on it, or distortions or mid-side processing, and they don't necessarily mix back together that cleanly. If it sounds good, it is good, so that's fine. But it's something we usually avoid in the plugins. Like, so these global sliders are usually like not true parallels. It's not mixing the streams together. It's more scaling down everything that's happening.
And what's a parallel mult?
I'm thinking of like a patch bay.
Yeah.
Usually has a mult. Does your patch bay have a mult?
It does.
So
But yeah,
there you go.
what does that mean? Can you explain?
It's just that the signal, the actual wires are split to multiple
Yeah.
locations, and you can tap out of those to get 2 copies of something.
Nice.
So if you're doing it on a patch bay, you would patch your vocal into the mult, take one out, go to the compressor, take another out, go to the dry.
Nice. Send a signal to multiple places.
Thanks for
Yes.
asking, because I didn't know.
There you go. We're here. We're here to educate. And then can you can we go into the right side of the plugin?
Sure.
And can you give us just like a little guide tutorial to what's happening over there?
Sure. So starting with the comp advanced, so this whole pane is like an advanced panel you can hide if you don't want advanced.
So the first panel is closer to like what you could do closer. It's not what you can do on an SP303, but of that more minimal mindset.
And this is those three main sliders, comp, wow, lo-fi. That's what Jack dictated the plugin have. It's like must have 3 sliders in the front.
Nice.
Don't change it. And I, as a compromise, was like, well, what if we put all these behind another pane?
Nice.
Because I want all these other controls.
Right.
Yeah, it's like the remote control where you slide up the top.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
There's all those other buttons.
Yeah, so comp advanced is just a way to change the attack and release times. Because they're so dynamic, we didn't do them as like time-based controls. It's just like 2 times longer than it would have been. Wow is for the wow and flutter. You can do a parallel mix here. So like if I do this, you'll hear the phasing.
It's cool.
That's
good
super
phaser.
cool.
Yeah, good phaser. Lo-fi it's got this noise, which is a crunch is really the crunch of the converters in a SV303. And then we added, this other stuff like a stereo linking option for the compressor, how fast the wow and flutter is based on vinyl, different types for the lo-fi stuff, and some kind of strange sidechaining stuff.
Okay, I've got a question. This is a hot topic question for me. But the noise.
Yeah.
When the plugin comes
Very
up, you've heard about
contentious.
this.
Oh, we've heard it. Yeah.
It's noise
You better
on,
believe
right?
It is noise on.
What are we gonna do when we fix this for the mastering version? What are we gonna do about this, guys?
No noise in the mastering
gone.
version. It's
Okay.
all gone. Yeah.
I always like having a noise option because it is cool. But what happens when it comes
No,
stock on the plugin is I forget about it.
Yeah, and we get emails about it all the time.
Yeah.
So people want it to be default noise off.
Off. Well, some people do, some people don't.
Which
It's
you can
contentious.
totally do. You can totally make a preset that is that.
Yeah, they're doing preset. Yeah.
and we
But you
lock
have
it,
to be
too.
smart to do that.
You do. And we have this little, you can see here, this little button.
Yeah.
See if
You want
noise
to
is
lock
on.
it? You can
Yeah.
lock the
You
noise.
can lock it.
But
Yeah.
I was curious, is that
The reason
the
is-
most common complaint that you get is people want?
Well, we get a
Oh,
wide
no, that's
variety
they
of
hate how it
complaints.
looks, I think.
No, the look is cool.
These plugins look amazing,
They look
Rob.
so
And I want
sick.
to talk about
They look so good.
Yeah, I want to talk about the look and the inspiration for the look and stuff too. Maybe
Yeah.
after we finish.
Well,
Sure.
but can I get
Jump
into some of
on
that
in,
right now?
baby.
Because I think one thing that stands out about your guys' plugins is like I have a million compressors. All of them have attack, release, threshold, ratio. Also, I have a million plugins. None of them look like this. None of them sound like this. Maybe it's just like a question for you. I think it works. Like it's a question for engineering, design, artistry in general. How much do you like look at what exists and draw inspiration from that versus like try to make something like truly without noise and context and the rest of the world, like from first principles, like, or do you even think about it that way? Are you just kind of going with your heart and like if it's really different than everything else, fine?
Probably closest to the latter. I will say I knew almost nothing about audio plugins when we started. So Devin knew
A ton.
everything
Yeah.
about audio plugins, and I knew nothing. And I feel like that's always been a little bit of if there's a magic to the company partnership, is that we're approaching it from very different places. I mean, I know a lot about music. I didn't know a lot about audio production, and the last plugins I had used were like Reactor 5 on a Windows laptop in 2004.
I like that plugin.
So what was
That was the
the
extent of my knowledge.
what was the inspo for the look?
I mean, some of it is like not inspired by other plugins, but disappointed by them in a way. Using them and being like, I hate using these knobs with a mouse.
Yes.
So I want it
So
all
true.
to be sliders.
Yes.
And Rob and I talking about that, and like the first prototype I made of like Panpot was all sliders on the front. And so, Rob took that and made it cleaner and simpler.
So what if the numbers were on
Yeah, what
the
if they were
sliders?
on the sliders?
Which ironically, I feel like is kind of also, or not ironically, but coincidentally, it kind of reflects the more vintage Sonics with some of, the old slider consoles
that's been
and
a
things
big
like that.
Thing I think about a lot is that a lot of other plugins are specifically designed to look
era.
vintage.
Sure.
Yes.
I try to think of it as like these are closer to like the schematics that the engineers would have had of the vintage units. There's no skeuomorphism, the drop shadows and the classic Steve Jobs Apple look.
Right.
But yeah, they're like it's like closer to like a blueprint. And they're meant to be extremely functional and extremely legible. I mean, that's some of the numbers on the sliders.
Yeah, in most plugins, you have to double click to type the value, and then there's 4 decimal places.
Yeah.
And you have to type the period. None of that here. You just type 4. It's 4.
Right.
I didn't even know you could do that.
Yeah.
You don't have to think.
Sick.
You just, use the arrow keys with the shift.
And then you tab to the next one.
You could do the whole thing without a mouse.
So when
I've
you
never
guys,
used it like
So
that.
if you become a Goodhertz power user, you can work so quickly.
Right.
Well, I'm not saying I'm not a. Are you saying
you'll
I'm not a
get
good
there.
Hertz
You'll
To
get
each
power
their own.
user?
If whatever your mode of
Dude, Ryan, you didn't know about tab to the next slider?
Well,
Jesus, man.
tilde goes back too.
I'm a preset guy. I never mess around with the sliders. I just scroll the presets, go to the name of the instrument that you're using it on, and that's
That's a great way to live.
how I live.
Yeah.
when you
Got
guys
time
are
for that.
when you guys are designing a plugin, do you have I guess a demographic in mind or a type of do you picture what kind of user would be? No, you just
No.
kind of just
Good question.
tailor
No.
it to how you guys would like a
I
plugin
think
to work.
I think to me it's what we would want to use,
Right.
and that
Wow.
is confusing as a company because some people think of Goodhertz as a lo-fi company because we do make plugins, but I was a mastering engineer, so I want stuff. We also make a really clean tone control. It's like a
The
mastering.
two
EQ.
faces of Goodhertz.
So it's the duality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there any plugin makers that you guys admire?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Valhalla comes to mind.
Yeah.
Big
Stuff's
fan.
great.
Sound Toys.
Yep.
Yeah. There's a bunch of.
Are there
great
any
ones.
that you guys
Yeah, oh,
despise?
Yeah. I'm not gonna say no.
Oh, I want to start plugging beef so badly.
If you had to work on a desert island laptop for the rest of your life and you only had 3 plugins on it to do all the jobs,
Good question.
what would be your 3?
I only use Goodhertz plugins.
Okay, they could be all Goodhertz.
I've slowly replaced all of my mastering chain pretty much.
With Goodhertz plugins?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what's on your mastering chain?
Tube is you can get a lot done with
Gotta
that.
have tube.
Yeah.
And then,
I would do VCME.
Yeah.
Get a
Which
lot
is the
done with
Vulf
that.
compressor mastering edition.
yeah.
What would the third be?
I would take Lossy, the ones that we're going to talk about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, let's get into Lossy. I
Let's do
love
it.
Lossy.
Okay, we're going to get
I use
into
it so
Lossy
much.
over on our Patreon page. It's free to join. It's free to hear the rest of this episode. We're going to talk about Lossy and so much more with the Goodhertz guys. Go to patreon.com/scarypockets to join as a free member. We'll see you over there.